All right. Good evening, folks. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight for this STARS College Network Advising Team webinar. We're covering tonight the QuestBridge program and Application Scholar Match program. My name is Phil Layfield. I work at Washington University in St. Louis, where I'm the Senior STARS College Advisor, heading up our team working with 11 high schools in Missouri and Illinois. And I'm hosting this webinar here with my colleague, Amy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Murray. I am a STARS College Advisor with Vanderbilt University. And my coworker, Harold Redette, who cannot be on the call tonight, he and I are working with, I believe, 13 schools throughout Tennessee and Kentucky. And I will turn this over. We've got some of our partners here at U Chicago and UT Austin. So, Yaelin, if you want to go next.
Hi everyone, my name is Yaelin and I work out of the Chicago office with Lucas. We're kind of working with high schools all across the country, some in California, Idaho, just to name a few, but super excited to be here with my other college advisees tonight. I'm going to pass it off to Lucas.
Thanks, Yaelin. I am Lucas Chiddick. I'm a Stars College Advisor at the University of Chicago, and with Yaelin, I also cover the Napa Valley Unified School District, along with a school in Illinois and a school in New Mexico, as well as we share a school in Idaho. So I'm excited to be here with all of you, and I will pass it along to Kim at UT.
Thanks, Lucas. Hi, everyone. My name is Kim. I am the STARS advisor for Northwest and East Texas. We have 5 partnerships there. Unfortunately, my partner, Hayone, won't be able to make this call today, this webinar today, but she is my counterpart in the Valley. She also has 5 partner high schools down in Central and South Texas as well. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Phil.
Wonderful. Thank you all. So Amy and I are going to be your masters of ceremonies tonight. We will chat through the information with you, but all of our wonderful colleagues here are also available if you have questions that come up along the way. And our chat is disabled, but if you check that Q&A feature down at the bottom and you open that up, that is your opportunity to ask questions. You can type them right on in, and our wonderful colleagues here will be able to chat right back to you and get those questions answered for you. We will also save some time to answer questions at the very end. But for now, let's go ahead and dive on in, chatting through our introduction to QuestBridge. Tonight, we're going to start with an introduction to QuestBridge and what QuestBridge is. We'll continue to talk about the College Prep Scholars Program, which is a wonderful opportunity for our senior students who are looking at applying to college in next year. Then the National College Match, which is the actual scholarship and college application process for QuestBridge. And then we'll close out with some next steps and resources. To start off with an overview of QuestBridge. QuestBridge is a national nonprofit organization that believes that there is exceptional talent everywhere, and they're dedicated to this idea of college access, much like we in the STARS network are, in finding students, especially who are first generation, who are low income, who are from underrepresented backgrounds like rural students, and empowering them to find not only pathways to college, but pathways to pay for college, because we know that can be a significant barrier for a lot of students. So you can see some wonderful numbers here about QuestBridge. Over 100,000 students have been served by QuestBridge programs. Over 35,000 scholars and alumni globally have gone through this program. There are over 19,000 finalists who have matched since the founding. We'll talk about what that means in just a few minutes. And over $5 billion in scholarships have been awarded through the QuestBridge program. And one of the reasons that I'm so excited to talk about QuestBridge tonight is this scholarship piece. Because if you are someone who has your heart really set on a school that is a wonderful school that has all the programs that you want, that has a beautiful campus, but the tuition is $80,000 to $100,000 a year, and that's totally out of sight for you, this could be a way for you to attend that school for free if it's a QuestBridge partner. So we really want to make sure that you're aware of that opportunity and how to take advantage of it. There are quite a few QuestBridge college partners, and they're working on expanding every year. You can see a list of QuestBridge college partners up there right now. We're proud that our schools are QuestBridge college partners, so that students can apply through this process and potentially match with our schools. We'll talk more about what that means. But if any of the schools that are on this list are schools that appeal to you at all, then I hope that you will look into this program. And if you are interested in this program and haven't heard of some of these schools, I'll help you look at the schools too, so that you can see what wonderful programs they offer that might be of interest to you. So let's talk a little bit about the process of the QuestBridge journey. Let's say, how does this work for you? In junior year of high school, which I think is where a lot of the students with us tonight and parents of those students are kind of at in this process, you have the opportunity to apply to the College Prep Scholars Program. And through that program, you can receive awards and resources that will really kind of help you navigate that process and be really prepared to apply to top colleges. These are colleges that we call highly selectives, like the institutions that we're from. Schools that typically admit fewer than 30% of their applicants, less than 1 in 3. For colleges like WashU, UChicago, Vanderbilt, that's often closer to 10% or below. So that is worth looking at to give you that extra leg up when you're applying somewhere that's really quite competitive. That's the goal of our program, and it's the goal of the QuestBridge Prep Scholars Program as well. Senior year of high school, that's your opportunity to apply to the National College Match. And when you apply through the National College Match to QuestBridge partner schools, you are considered for a full 4-year scholarship to that partner school. That means that tuition is covered and room and board is covered. You are attending that college with all of your costs fully covered. So a really, really wonderful opportunity. And it doesn't actually stop there. You can continue partnering with QuestBridge during college. You'll have access to that QuestBridge community. There are resources for people who are QuestBridge finalists and people who have gone through this process to help you be successful when you are potentially way across the country at a very new place. They want to make sure that you are successful and supported there. So they are available for that. And even after graduation, there is a worldwide network of alumni that helps QuestBridge alumni go through this process, find great job postings, find all sorts of postgraduate opportunities. So it is something that you can start as early as when you are 16 and that can follow you the rest of your life potentially and affect you in all sorts of positive ways. So, who are we looking for as far as these students go? Students who are good fits for QuestBridge, because this is an application process, are students who are earning mostly A's, who are taking the most challenging courses offered at their schools, and demonstrating strong writing ability and intellectual curiosity. So let's look at that for a minute here. Earning mostly A's is pretty straightforward, but I want to talk about this most challenging courses piece. At some schools, often schools that I've worked with in city areas, they might have a whole ton of AP courses available. I've worked at schools that have 16 or 20 AP courses available to students. I've also worked at schools that are in smaller towns. I worked at St. James High School in sort of South Central Missouri that did not have any AP courses at all. They got one while I was there, and it was gone 2 years later. But QuestBridge is not going to hold against you what your school doesn't have. What they're going to look for is out of the most challenging courses your school offers, whether that's honors or dual credit or AP, are you taking them and are you being successful in them? Strong writing ability is important because the QuestBridge program involves a lot of writing. Writing short answers, writing essays, that is something that is going to be important to your success in this program. It's also worth noting that this is typically a program for students who are coming from a household earning less than $65,000 annually that do not have a lot of other assets. So not someone who is able to pay for very expensive colleges through some of the more typical means, whether that is loans are not affordable for you, whether that is income-wise, it is not affordable for you, even on a payment plan. These are ideal candidates to receive a QuestBridge scholarship. It's important to demonstrate resilience, integrity, and motivation to succeed. That means this process, the whole process can be a lot to handle, so show some resilience as you go through it, and we'll support you with that. Integrity, be honest about what you're putting down in this process, and keep that motivation high. It's also worth noting that both highly selective colleges in general and the QuestBridge program are looking for people with a strong list of activities, some great involvement in their communities. That can be school clubs that you're involved in, or sports teams, or performing arts. It can also be service that you do. It can be a job that you work. It can be helping out around the house if you have younger siblings or older relatives who need care. There are lots of ways to make meaningful contributions. But that is something that the QuestBridge program does look for. It's also worth noting, QuestBridge programs are open to students currently attending high school in the U.S. and U.S. citizens and permanent residents living abroad, but international students are not able to take advantage of the QuestBridge program, unfortunately. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy to chat a little bit about the QuestBridge College Prep Scholars Program for high school juniors.
Thank you so much, Phil. So, like Phil said, College Prep Scholars Program, that is for our current juniors, which pretty much everybody on this call is a current junior or maybe the parent of a current junior. And so this application, if you've been coming to workshops or been on one-on-one, any virtual meetings with your advisors lately, we've likely been talking about College Prep Scholars and how this application is currently open. So that's why we really wanted to talk to you guys tonight to get this conversation started about not only College Prep Scholars, but also National College Match, which we'll talk about afterwards. So again, we just talked about the eligibility for a student to take advantage of College Prep Scholars, what the program is looking for. Um, so essentially, College Prep Scholars is a resource program. Okay. So this is not, if you've heard of QuestBridge, you might be thinking of National College Match. Oh, you rank the schools and all that. This is something different. Okay. This is a program to essentially help you be the best, strongest candidate that you can be when it comes to applying to schools in the fall. Phil, you can go to the next slide. Okay, so College Prep Scholars does this in a variety of different ways. Obviously, as a scholar, you're going to be able to discover that a top college is possible. Hopefully, you're discovering that through your experience with STARS. But if you are accepted into College Prep Scholars, that is going to be reinforced. And the combination of us and QuestBridge are going to be able to help you all realize your dreams. As a scholar, you will receive an exclusive invitation to a QuestBridge National College Admissions Conference. And you're saying, what is that? So this is like a day conference, and they have several of them. So you'll get an invitation. You'll go, and they will talk to you about what college admissions offices are looking for specifically. They may have a little workshop on essay writing or building your activities list or something like that. And they're also going to have a college fair that is going to have all 55 of the QuestBridge schools there, which is so cool because you may look at that list and you may say, I know U Chicago, I know Vanderbilt, I know WashU, I know UT Austin. You should know all those because we're on this call. You might say, oh, I've heard of Harvard, but there's going to be a lot on there that you have never heard of. So this is a great opportunity not just to talk with someone at the school you're interested in, but talk with someone at a school that you didn't even know you were interested in, and now you are. Okay. So that's an awesome opportunity they give you. Um, Obviously, you get all kinds of support and preparation you need to apply to top colleges. So again, you're getting some of that from STARS right now, but this is going to be even more, even extra support. Okay. You'll have access to a supportive community of motivated peers who are also applying to top colleges. So all the other scholars in the College Prep Scholars Program, everybody kind of is there to encourage one another and help share, what has worked for them and things like that. So it's a great community of peers because you may be one of the only people at your high school who's really trying this path of I would like to go to a more selective school. You may be the only person in your friend group who's doing that. And so while you're over there writing 10 million supplementals, your friends have finished their college apps. So it might be nice to get to speak with other students who are in the same boat, who are doing this as well. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so some other resources that College Prep Scholars offers. They have some different awards that you can receive. When you do your application, you will do an awards sheet, essentially, for lack of a better term. You will do an award sheet that says, hey, here are the things you offer that I'm interested in. Okay, so some of the things on this slide you may be interested in. So we've been talking a lot the last couple months about all kinds of different summer programs. Some of the deadlines have already passed, some are still coming up. What College Prep Scholars does is they have spots saved for certain summer programs. You'll see U Chicago on there for Yaelin and Lucas. Rice, which is in Houston. Am I right, Kim? Is that Houston? Okay. Yale, obviously up in New Haven, and lots more. So they have full scholarships to those summer programs. So you may say, "Oh, I didn't get into the summer program I wanted to, so I'm going to put on my award sheet that I'm interested in a spot at one of these." So if you're accepted as a college prep scholar, they're going to reach out and say, "Hey, you indicated you were interested in a summer program. We have a spot at Yale Global Scholars. Would you be interested in that?" Okay. So, and that is, of course, free to you as a college prep scholar. Something else they offer are called Quest for Excellence Awards. It's not in this PowerPoint, but they do have four different ones. One of them is just for students in New York City. So I don't think anybody on this call would be eligible for that one. But the other three, they have one that goes to a student in each of the 50 states, US states. There is a STEM one, and then there is a humanities one. Okay, so if you're looking into more of a STEM field, you could apply for the STEM award. Humanities is going to be kind of a catch-all for all the other things. Okay, each one of those awards is $1,000 each. Okay, and you can use that for many different things that are going to support you in your journey to applying to colleges. One of them being you can use it towards a new laptop. You can use it to visit campuses that are otherwise, cost prohibitive to get to. You may be interested in UC Berkeley, but you live in Northeast Tennessee. Okay, it's a hard sell to get mom to drive you, to California, right? So you can say, hey, I got $1,000 and I can send us to UC Berkeley. We can tour campus, talk to admissions, all that good stuff. Okay. There's other resources that they will allow you to use that for, test prep being one of them. I think if you wanted to hire like an ACT tutor, that could go towards paying that, or like a prep program or something like that. So those Quest for Excellence awards are really incredible and can go towards a lot of different resources. And of course, they're also going to offer, just like STARS does, but again, this is additional. And personally, I think the more professionals who can be looking at your application before it gets turned in, the better. They will offer personalized support with college essays, standardized tests, and one-on-one college application guidance as well. Okay, so those are, I think that might be the end of kind of the resources offered. If you want to go to the next slide. Okay, yes. So here are the application components because, like we said, the application for College Prep Scholars is already open, but it doesn't close until March 24th. So you've got a month from tomorrow. Okay, so if you've not done a single thing yet, don't freak out. It's okay. You still have a month. Okay, because I know some of my students on here are already freaking out. So household and financial information. At first, this is just going to be self-reported, okay? And then at some point down the line, you will need to um, provide certain tax documents. You can't just say, hey, we make $25,000 a year and nobody follow up on that. Okay. So at some point, you will have to confirm that with tax documents. But when you do your application, this is all self-reported at this point. So your living arrangement, maybe you live with just your mom, maybe you live with um, dad, stepmom, grandma, and two brothers. Okay, they want to know who all lives in your household, what the living arrangement is, obviously income, and I do believe that's adjusted gross income. They'll be specific on the application when they ask. And then, of course, any assets that you have. They're going to ask for academic and testing information. Obviously, they're going to want to see a transcript. Unofficial is fine. They're going to want to see your current course information. And if you've already signed up for senior year classes, which it might be a little too early, but you can send that as well. So your senior year classes. If you already know, hey, I'm taking these dual enrollment or these AP or whatever, you can send that as well. You will need one reference letter, and they prefer this be from a core education teacher that you had either in 10th grade or this year in 11th grade. Okay, so you can kind of be thinking about that. And then standardized test scores, if available, but they are not required. Okay, so when we say standardized tests, we mean ACT or SAT. So you may have not taken those yet, all right? Or you may have taken them, but you're not particularly wanting to shout from the hilltops about your score yet. That is okay. They are not required. They also will accept like a if you want to send them, um, they will accept like a screenshot as long as it has your scores and your first and last name in there. They will accept that. Okay. Because it does cost money usually to send those scores. So they don't want to make you pay for something if you don't have to. Phil talked a little bit about activities a moment ago, and so I want from this point on for us to kind of reframe how we think about activities. When your STARS advisor is talking about an activity list and things like that, it doesn't just include those clubs and extracurriculars at school, okay? It does include those, but it also is going to include any things you're doing in the community, maybe your church, like Phil said, a job. Okay. So if you work part-time at the Dairy Queen, 15 hours a week, we want to know. And also what's your favorite blizzard? But we want to know, where you're spending your time outside of school. And then those home and family responsibilities. You guys may not be thinking about those as things that would go on a college application, but they absolutely should. Phil gave a couple of great examples. If you maybe help out with younger siblings or cousins, or you have older family members, I mean, it could be I go take my grandma grocery shopping every 2 weeks. Like I spend 2 hours with her. I go do her pill box for her. Okay. They want to know that, right? They want to know how you're contributing. Okay. Maybe you go, you have to take your little sister back and forth to dance class 3 times a week because mom doesn't get off work yet. They want to know about that. Okay. So start thinking about, oh, maybe this could be something that I do that I don't even realize is something a college application would want to know about. Okay. So all those things are going to fall under activities. And then for writing for the college prep scholars, you are required to do one essay, 300 to 500 words, about what has shaped you into who you are today. Okay. You'll see that note there that there might be some short answer requirements for some of those Quest for Excellence awards. So just know that ahead of time. But yeah, 300 to 500 words, that's like no more than a page, pretty much. Okay. So, and guess who would love to help you guys with this application? Everyone on this call, your STARS college advisor. How many essays collectively has this group like looked at? Like it's a lot. So those are the application components for college prep scholars, of which we are happy to help with. There might be one more slide for this, Phil, possibly. Okay, yes, timeline, perfect. So, like I said, application for this is already open. It says late March it'll be due. They've already announced that it will be due March 24th, and that is 11:59 Pacific time on the deadline day. So for those of us in Eastern time, what is that actually like? 2:59 a.m. Please don't turn it in at 2:59 a.m. on March 24th. But yeah, you technically do have until then. Mid-April is when selections are made, so they will notify you if you've been chosen to be a college prep scholar, and they'll start talking to you about those summer opportunities that are available, so they can make sure that everybody gets what it is they're looking for. Summer, all awards and resources are made available, including those invitations to National College Admissions Conferences, joining that online community, participating in all of the college prep programming that they offer. And then in late summer, which they've said will be early August, the National College Match application opens. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because Phil is about to tell you all about National College Match. So, um, we do have a couple of questions in the Q&A. So, if you all want to address those while Phil moves on to National College Match, that would be great. Thank you, guys.
All right, folks. So I feel like most people who have heard of QuestBridge before have heard of it because of the National College Match. So I think it's really, really good that we got to hear about the College Prep Scholar Program from Amy because it's a great resource. But I also want to spend some time talking about this because I think it's the most well-known piece of QuestBridge, but also one that requires a lot of work and comes up very fast if you're a current junior. So let's talk a little bit about what this is and how it works. So the National College Match Through this process, high-achieving high school students, seniors from low-income backgrounds can apply for early admission, and we mean quite early, even earlier than most colleges' early rounds, and a full 4-year scholarship to the QuestBridge partner colleges. It also looks very different as an application from, say, the common application. It gives you a lot of extra space to talk about unique talents, story, your determination, show your resilience as a student. A lot of that coming through short answer prompts. So let's go in a little bit more depth and detail about how that works. The QuestBridge program, what makes this unique is that there is a full 4-year scholarship with no loans, no parent contribution if you are a match student. Not everyone who applies for this program is a match. Not every finalist gets a match, but if you are a student who matches to one of the partner schools, this is what you receive. You are getting a free college education. Consideration for early admission for up to 15 college partners at once. These are the schools that you will rank, and you are applying to them quite early. You will hear back from them potentially quite early. And free application to 55 college partners. So no application fees going through this process. Your application can be sent to all of these college partners at no additional cost. The application is, as I mentioned before, built pretty differently from many other types of application. It's designed to highlight unique story and background. And the way that works is really through short answer questions. When you are writing on the common or coalition application, or most colleges' individual applications, they'll often give you a standard essay. It's usually about 600, 650 words, and then maybe a shorter 100 to 250 word supplement. That's an additional question. QuestBridge has a bunch of short answer questions, a lot of different opportunities that you can choose to answer to really tell your story in a more in-depth way. There are multiple opportunities for admission, which we'll talk more about. And this is also where you get access to that worldwide network of people who are in this program as QuestBridge scholars and people who have graduated from this program as QuestBridge alumni. So what goes into this application? Your household and financial status is one thing that's going to go on here. That's going to talk about your living arrangement. Who do you live with? What is the legal status of your family? Are you in a legal guardianship? Do you live with one or both biological parents? Do you travel back and forth? How does this work with custody? They'll ask about that. They will also ask about income and assets because this is a program that is targeted to low-income students. There was a question earlier about the cutoff for that. As we said before, it is typically $65,000 for a family of 4, but there is some wiggle room if there are special circumstances. If you have a very large family, if you have significant medical expenses, if someone has lost a job, then different things may change in your situation. So it's worth asking QuestBridge if this is something that can apply to you if you're unsure. There's also, as with any college application, an academics and testing segment of this application. So they're going to ask about your high school course and grade information. They want to see that unofficial transcript so they can see what courses are you taking. We want students taking challenging courses, getting mostly A's in those courses, doing well in those courses. Standardized test scores are not required to be on the QuestBridge application. If you believe that they are your best foot forward and they represent you well, I encourage you to submit them because it will probably boost your chances. If you are someone who is applying to schools that do not require test scores and you feel that the test scores that you have do not represent you well and it's not your best foot forward, then you have the option not to submit them. And that will never be held against you. It is genuinely just not considered as part of the process if you're test optional. So that is an absolutely valid option. The school report that we're going to get from your counselor tells us what to compare your transcript to. It tells us what courses your school offers so that we know whether you're taking rigorous courses compared to what your school offers or not. So that's an important element, but not something that you have to provide. And then we also really want to see 2 teacher recommendations. Ideally, these recommendations should come from people who know you well and like you and will say nice things about you. It's sometimes nice to get folks who are in fields related to what you want to major in. But broadly, 2 teacher recommendations is what we want to see on that QuestBridge application. For activities, as we've hit before, extracurricular activities at school, but also outside of school, service involvement, whether that's with a church, a nonprofit, if you work a job, if you have home or family responsibilities, all of these things should go on your activities list, not just for QuestBridge, but for any college that you're applying to. And then writing. There will be a personal essay, which is very typical for college applications, for what has shaped you into who you are today. So they have a specific prompt. What are the influences that got you to be the person that you are? which kind of helps colleges see what kind of person they'd be bringing to their campus. There is a writing exercise, and then some short answer questions that kind of encourage you to further develop the way that you're showcasing yourself through writing prompts. So once you've got all that done, you need to rank colleges to participate in the match. And this works kind of like brackets to see where these line up. So students go ahead and create a list. And in that list, they create a rank of up to 15 of the QuestBridge College partners to be considered for early admission with the Matt Scholarship. You do not have to use all 15 if you don't want to, but ranking 15 increases your chances that someone will match with you. Now, don't rank anyone that you don't actually want to go to because you may end up matching there and that's your scholarship. You take it or leave it. But use them as many as our QuestBridge partners that you want to go to, rank those schools and rank them in the order that you want to go to them. Then college partners are going to review the applications that they get and they are going to select who they're able to admit with the match scholarship. They don't know where you ranked them, what order on the list, or how many colleges you listed. But if you are selected as a QuestBridge finalist, then you are matched with the highest ranked school that is able to that you ranked that will match with you. So if I on my application rank UChicago #1 and WashU #2 and Vanderbilt #3, then I know that if I'm denied from UChicago, but I get into WashU and Vanderbilt, I will match to WashU because I listed it higher than Vanderbilt. So the order in which you rank these is very important for where you may ultimately match and get that scholarship to. You are committed to attend that school. It is considered a binding agreement when you have done this. So think carefully about who you are listing and in what order you are listing them. So matching, what does that actually include? Early admission to a college partner. You are hearing back about your QuestBridge application very early in the year. You'll hear about it in the fall. At many of these schools, regular decision students hear back in March or April. You will know in the fall. So that is something that can be a selling point for folks. It is a full 4-year scholarship, no loans. Your parents do not have to kick in anything at all. Costs are covered. This can be a value of $400,000, $500,000 that is covered for you, depending on where you are attending. It will also help you with books and supplies in addition to that tuition and housing and food, and it will help you travel if you are traveling somewhere far. So it will really cover significant expenses for you. If you are worried about the expense of college, this is one of the best ways that you can take care of it genuinely. So let's say that you don't match, but you are selected as a QuestBridge finalist. You are still considered as an applicant to those schools. This might be something where you ranked 15 schools and 15 schools admitted you, but none of them were the ones that you ranked. Well, you can still be admitted to those schools. Your application can explore, you can go into early admission opportunities at those schools that you ranked. So if I don't match to WashU, but I want to apply early decision to WashU, I can do that. You can also apply through regular decision. You can roll over your application to regular decision at any of the QuestBridge partner schools, and then you don't have to redo all the work of applying to that school separately. It rolls over into the common or coalition application, which is really nice. And all of the QuestBridge college partners meet 100% of demonstrated financial need. And what that means is you may not get a full ride depending on the school. You might still, but you will get 100% of what the FAFSA determines your need is met. So that could still be a very substantial scholarship. That's the reason that these schools partner with QuestBridge. They want to give out these scholarships. QuestBridge does not pay for the scholarships. QuestBridge just sets up the partner. The school is paying the money. So they are the ones who want to give you this money to help you attend. So it's also worth noting that just because you're selected as a QuestBridge finalist, you are not guaranteed to be admitted to these schools. I am not aware of a lot of, if any, QuestBridge finalists who don't get into any QuestBridge schools. I think that would be a very unusual case. But it is worth noting that you may also want to apply to other options outside of QuestBridge if there are other schools that are not QuestBridge partners that you may want to attend. Like local state universities especially are not going to be QuestBridge partners typically. Like University of Missouri in my home state is not going to be a QuestBridge partner, but it's somewhere you might want to apply to separately. All right, so let's talk about some of the benefits here. Getting in and getting your scholarship is just kind of the first benefit. On every one of these college campuses that are QuestBridge partners, there is a QuestBridge Scholar community. You will meet other people who have been admitted through this program. And at many of these schools, it's not a super small number. It might be 80 students a year. That is a pretty substantial community that you can go around and meet, even if it's just 20. That's a substantial community who have been through a similar process, who have that kind of shared pride on that college campus. You'll also be part of the global network of QuestBridge alumni. People who have gone through QuestBridge have gone off and done incredibly cool things all over the world. And they are people who are now your contacts to help you find job opportunities, to help you get into graduate school, if that's something you're pursuing, all sorts of wonderful things you can do. There are QuestBridge career programs to kind of help you figure out what field you're interested in and how to get started in that. And there are also scholarships to graduate school. If you're looking at something like law school or social work school or schools of medicine, those can also be very expensive. So having QuestBridge help you with that cost can be a significant help to you, worth looking into. Let's talk a little bit about the timeline because this happens, as I've alluded to a couple times, very, very fast. The reason we're talking to you about this now while you are juniors is that it is much too late for seniors to jump on. The application for QuestBridge opens in late summer. So before you're even back in school, this application is open. In August and September, you need to be completing this application. Connect with those teachers early to get those letters of recommendation. Talk to them this year if you can, so that they're ready to submit this for you. Counselors, you're going to talk to them about getting your transcript, your test score, your school profile, all of that sent in through QuestBridge. In late September, you need to submit this application. Your friends probably will not have started thinking about their applications yet, but you need to be submitting in late September. You need to be done with your application. You need to have ranked your schools. Application is due at the end of September. The earliest early decision deadlines are not until after that. Our earliest one is November 1st if you were applying direct to WashU. So this comes up fast, fast, fast. In mid-October, you will find out already, again, before most people submit their early decision apps, you'll find out if you're a finalist. Now, not being a finalist does not mean that college is over for you. It just means that you can roll your application over into another way to apply, and that's fine. You've still already done a lot of the work, so this still is a benefit to you. If you are a finalist, then what you'll need to do is get some additional requirements to submit to the colleges that require them, to the ones that you ranked. November 1st, all the match requirements are due. So if there's anything extra that you need to do for the colleges you've ranked, November 1st, those need to be turned in. That's when your fellow students are starting to apply if they're applying early. And then let's talk a little bit about what happens after that with next steps and resources. I'm going to turn it back over to Amy.
Okay, great. So before you all scan any of these QR codes, you can sign up for the mailing list, register for an upcoming webinar. They have had a webinar already. I mean, they will definitely have more about National College Match later on, and you can also scan to start an application today. But before we do those, Phil, would you care to put in the chat? We have a very short little form. If you will just fill out, it's just really for attendance. And then it also at the end, so that is in our chat, that link. At the end, you can let us know if you think you might be interested in one or the other, just so that your advisor can then follow up. And I don't remember if Phil mentioned this or not, but just so that you don't have to do both. Okay, so let's say you want the resources of college prep scholars, but the idea of doing an early decision binding application by September 30th is like too much for you. That's fine. You can do one and not the other. You can choose not to do college prep scholars and still do National College Match. Just wanted to make that very clear. They are two programs within the same, umbrella, but you don't have to do both of them. I will say if you are chosen for college prep scholars, they say you are about 8 times more likely to be chosen as at least a finalist, if not match, if you choose to do National College Match. But I will say that personally, I worked with 2 students this year who matched, one at Harvard, one at Stanford. One did college prep scholars, one did not. So, take that for what it's worth. Um, okay, so yeah, if you all wouldn't care to do that form really quick, it's literally just like name, high school, grade. I don't even think grades on there. So if you all would just do that real quick, and then we will move on to these just last couple of slides. Okay. So, like I said, you can scan any one of these if you would like. We will be sending this all out to you guys. So if you don't want to start an application right this second, that's fine. We'll send out links and everything. Phil, if you want to go to the next slide. Um, so QuestBridge has lots of really good resources on their website. In fact, this whole presentation is on their website that anybody can look at. Isn't that cool? But you don't have all of us like presenting it to you and answering questions. So, but they do have a great resource library. So even if you are not chosen for college prep scholars or anything like that, they still have great resources. Their YouTube channel is pretty active and they have a lot of good stuff on there as well. Phil, if you want to go to the next one. Yeah, obviously you can see some students here that matched. Like I said, I had two students that matched this year. My coworker Harold had a student that matched. Yaleen had a student that matched. Yes. Okay. So just in the, I don't know, even I mean, less than 1,000 students, I can probably confidently say that all four of us schools are working with. We had four match. So just saying, are we good luck charms? I don't know. But we are here to help. We're here to make it happen for you. So, this is something that is, this really is within your capability. If you're on this call, we don't know your income information, but aside from that, we know that you guys are who QuestBridge is looking for, right? Because to be a STAR student, to get on this call at whatever time it is where you guys are, and to dedicate time outside of school to learning about this, you guys are already showing that you all are the type of person that QuestBridge and these colleges is looking for. Okay. Phil, if you want to go to the next slide, yeah, I definitely want to get to this first frequently asked question, um, because it's about income, right? So I know that we hear that 65,000 and we want to know, is that a hard and fast rule? What is it if my family is less than four? And unfortunately, we don't 100% know. Okay, so QuestBridge doesn't put out a chart that says, if you're two in a household, you've got to make this much and down from there. It's very holistic. Okay. So they give out that 65,000 as kind of a roundabout. I know students who've been over that. I know students who've been under that. Okay. Who have matched. So if you think you may be eligible, you can always reach out. Say you can email QuestBridge. They're probably not going to be able to give you a specific until they see a full application. But I would say that, like it says, if you feel you faced economic hardship, you fit the criteria of a high achieving student from a low income background, they encourage you to apply. Okay, there's room on the application to explain your household's financial situation. And I think Phil talked about this as well. So, if you are less than a family of four, or if you make 72,000, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are not eligible. Okay. And we would probably encourage you to apply and move forward if you feel like you meet those criteria. Um, the next couple of questions we talked about, yeah, school scores are not required. We talked about that already. Um, if you want to, okay, yeah, every match scholarship, is it the same? Every college partner will cover the full cost of attendance and guarantees no loan or parental contribution. But every school determines financial aid differently and may include some variation of student contributions, summer work, contributions, student savings. Some schools may include none of those. Okay, so they may say, yes, we're covering it, but you have to work 5 hours a week on an on-campus job. Okay. So just keep that in mind. And really that is a school by school decision. But they're not going to say, oh, just kidding, we don't cover housing. Okay. They're not going to do that. There might be another component there, like some type of student work contribution. Okay. They're all considered financial aid though. And that would really be the same as if you're looking at doing like a federal work study job. That's kind of the same type of thing. Okay. And then the last question they have, can I apply only to QuestBridge regular decision and not rank schools? Um, okay. So you can choose to apply via QuestBridge regular decision, not ranked schools. However, there's only one application and not a separate one for QuestBridge regular decision. So you still have to do the national college match and you still have to do it by the end of September. And you may not want to do that because regular decision deadlines for most schools are going to be no earlier than January 1st. They're usually right at the beginning of January. So you may not want to do that. You may want to give yourself more time. This is really for students who are really willing to do the ranking and willing to say, I will go to one of these schools if they accept me early decision. Okay. So I don't know how everybody else in the call feels. I don't know why you would do this, but you could technically. Okay. So we do have some time. Does anybody have a question that we didn't get to, or maybe some clarification on something? Please put that in the Q&A. Um, and we will be happy to answer that.
We will hang out for a couple more minutes in case questions come up. If you do not have questions, thank you so much for being here. If you need to review this webinar, we will post the recording and we will send out that link. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we hope that this is helpful to you and that you found it interesting. And if you would like help from your advisor to apply for any of these programs, please feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you all so much.
I got a
We did have
question
a
here
question.
I will answer live. Would filling out the application information for QuestBridge be a good idea regardless of our interest in attending a school affiliated with QuestBridge? I would say no. I would say fill out the QuestBridge application only if you are interested in attending a QuestBridge partner school. It is not something that is going to roll over to schools that are outside of that. That said, there are 55 QuestBridge partners. I bet one of them would be of interest to you, have programs that you want. If you decide, nope, I've got my list of 2, 3, 4 colleges and none of them are QuestBridge, I would say probably not going to be super helpful to you. The QuestBridge Scholars Program might still be helpful to you, but
Mhm.
the application itself, I don't think would be of helpful to you unless you're looking at one of those 55.
I will say, sort of in that same vein, if you are not necessarily looking to apply to one of those 55, but like Phil said, maybe taking part in the College Prep Scholars, the College Prep Scholars application is going to look very similar to most college applications. So it's a really good practice run, right? So if you, I mean, and don't do it just for practice, but if you might be interested in the college prep scholars, even though you're still on the fence of whether or not you want to do national college match, um, doing the college prep scholars, the actual application looks very, very similar. You've got, you're going to have that robust activities list ready. You're going to have a polished essay, all of those things. And having that all done before you even finish junior year is going to be pretty great. And you're going to get a leg up doing that moving forward. Any other questions?
Okay. I think we're going to go ahead and call it there then. Thank you so much for being here. If other questions come up, please feel free to reach out to us. We are always happy to chat. Thank you to our colleagues who ran the Q&A behind the scenes. Really appreciate you for doing that. And I hope that you all have a wonderful evening.